Hello and welcome everybody to the AV Exchange presented by Midwich. I'm your host, Joe Dunbar. It's Thursday, late June 26th. I cannot believe it. We're kind of doing this already. We're getting what, a third of the way through summer at this point, it feels like, and things are flying by. We're post infocom. I'm a little stuffed up on the allergies, so hopefully I sound okay to y'all. You can deal with a little squawk or something. Hopefully that's all right. I appreciate everybody making the time. As always, I'm super stoked. We have Barco and Neat in the house. So this is the first time we've really done like two companies together in here. We're going to be talking primarily about the partnership and kind of how that developed and came to be. I'm going to get the agenda up before I bring our guests in, Josh and Ryan. Quickly running through this. Like I said, we have Barco and Neat on the call. We're going to be talking a lot about BYOD, BYOM, kind of what that means to them and how the partnership developed. I know there's some ClickShare announcements to make. We're going to do a gift card raffle at the end, as we always do, and demo question mark, which has kind of become my favorite part of this call very quickly. We are going to, I asked Josh to work in a demo for us, and they've obliged us as such, but you'll see why this is kind of comical and the question marks exist as we get into the demo, because it's almost just it feels disingenuous to like call it a demo when it's as easy as it is. So calling it a demo. As always with the housekeeping stuff, you guys, Q&A for questions. It just helps me kind of stay organized and neat and tidy and everything. I always like to launch the poll. Let me get the awareness poll going for you guys. We just want to know who we're talking to and how much you know about the companies and partners that we're here with. And I'm sort of hesitant to even put it out there. I'm thinking everybody's familiar with Barco and Neat. These are two of the biggest brand names in the industry, but we don't want to discriminate against anybody who's new here. There's nothing wrong with not being familiar with these companies, and hopefully, if you are new to them, this is a little bit of an introduction. So go ahead and participate in that. I mentioned the gift card giveaway. We do this every show. Stick around. We appreciate you guys giving us your time, and at the end, I will raffle off a random name to give a $50 Amazon gift card to. Now, the caveat I like to add to that, and I will mention this in the chat as well, qualifying questions. If you can ask a relevant question to the topics that we're discussing and the brands that are here, I will add your name in again for the drawing for the gift cards. So don't try to be sneaky and break up one question into four parts or anything. Just give us some genuine, honest questions that you have for these brands, and as long as they're relevant, then that'll increase your chances. So I am going to go ahead and bring in the crew. We've got a couple of us here today. I've got Ryan Ostrow and hopefully I got that right. Ryan Ostrow and Josh Starkey. I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and introduce yourselves. Let's start with you, Ryan, if we can start there.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Ryan Ostrow. I am a pre-sales engineer for Barco. I specifically work in the meeting experience division, which is primarily ClickShare products. I've been with the company just about 3 years now, and before I came to Barco, all my installation design, all my AV experience, I have used many of Barco's ClickShare products over the years. So the product line was built about 12 years ago. We're on our fourth iteration of it, and I'm familiar with pretty much all of them up to what we've got today and what I'm going to announce later on at some point in time in this call.
I'm stoked for that, Ryan. That can be at any point. You can interrupt this red alert and make your announcement anytime, because I'm kind of hanging on for it. I'm glad I nailed the last name. Ryan, are you native to the Duluth, Georgia area? Are you near that
No,
office?
so actually,
or where are you
I am
based
based in New Jersey. I am down by Philadelphia, but the
Gotcha.
Duluth office is our U.S. headquarters, so that's why that is the address. And also, I got a phone number from there for my cell phone, but that's not the area I live in.
Course. And then everybody goes, "Hey, are
Yeah.
you local?" And it's like, no, it's a trick. I don't know why I get obsessed with asking everybody. I like to know where everybody is in our remote hybrid world. So I appreciate the introduction. Josh Starkey from Neat. Josh, if you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Josh Starkey with Neat. My current title is Manager of Technical Sales US Channel. So effectively very similar to Ryan. I'm basically pre-sales engineer, kind of help out the team that supports our channel partners. So yeah, I've been with Neat for a little over 3 years, and prior to that, similar to Ryan's experience, I was on the partner side or the integration side, so I'm very familiar with Barco, Neat, and all the other solutions out there.
Josh, where are you based out of?
I am in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I knew that. Sweating it and out in Charlotte. I know it's very, very warm down there today. So my sympathies. I'll try to send some kind of cooler weather your way. I was kind of poking around on like where to start this conversation. We're going to keep it pretty discussional aside from a demo. And I think we'll dive into the demo a little bit when we get more into like the specific ClickShare and a little more of the technical stuff. But I kind of just want to, from y'all's, it's a bunch of pre-sales engineers on this call. I mean, whatever our titles are, we all work in pre-sales engineering. We support our sales teams as they're out in the field trying to get new business and gain new customers. So very similar mindsets and approaches here. We all have background in the field utilizing the solutions, which is a huge benefit. I preach that importance to our customers all the time. So I love to hear that you guys have real world experience utilizing these products. I would like to ask each of you, somebody can take the front half, and then I want you both to take the back half of this first question, okay? And I'll leave it up to you guys. On the front half, I'm really just curious kind of how this partnership developed. And on the back half, I'd love to hear from each of you what it means for you guys and the solutions to kind of have this partnership solidified. So who wants to tackle it? Who wants to get in and kind of tell us about how this started off? Josh?
Yeah, I'm happy to take this because it's kind of funny. You know, I when I started at Neat, we didn't really have any partnerships out there. We didn't really even play well with others. You know, we were kind of this closed loop ecosystem, and you know, we had to connect to displays and stuff like that, but we didn't have any formal partnerships. And coming from the partner side or the you know, AV integration side, I had a lot of those relationships already, and so I started kind of grassroots you know, conversations with a handful of manufacturers, just getting their gear to test with here in my spare bedroom, and you know, just validating things so we could tell our partners, hey, tested it, it works, here's the settings, blah blah blah. And so we really started this off in kind of a very high level you know, partnership where we were really just in the, I think the verified category, not the certified category, which meant it was kind of an asynchronous type of testing where we would, you know, self-test and you know, follow the process that Barco had laid out, which was very thorough and nice. But we have since really grown our alliance team, and our alliance team really manages all these other relationships out there with other manufacturers. And so selfishly, it's beautiful for me because I'm no longer testing each and every release candidate here in my spare bedroom, and I can offload that to our R&D team over in Oslo. So it's been nice to kind of pass the baton and really just watch Neat kind of grow and expand within the market.
That's some great insight there. I made some notes. I have some follow-up questions to what you said, but Ryan, I'd love to give you an opportunity to kind of talk about the question from your perspective, kind of how this came about and what it means to you from your position and Barco's perspective to have this partnership.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's cool about this partnership is, as Josh pointed out, Neat kind of came in and they had their own thing. If anybody's really familiar with the ClickShare product, obviously, on the presentation only side, we don't really need partnerships for that. We're just going to connect to a display and you can wirelessly share. But when it comes to BYOD and BYOM, we rely on partnerships, right? We have the ability to move peripherals from a Neat bar to your laptop wirelessly. We have the ability to work with other products. So we are always in the market to look for good partners. And we're always trying to make more teams together and get everybody to work together, because obviously most AV solutions aren't just one manufacturer. You have to deal with a couple different manufacturers, or more than a couple in some cases, depending upon the complexity of the system. That being said, it's great to have manufacturers that can partner together because it eliminates the finger pointing. If something's going wrong in that system and you call Barco and we say, okay, we're connected with a Neat bar, we'll get on the phone with them, or vice versa, and we can work through those problems together instead of, oh, that's not my product, you should go check with them and get the runaround. So the partnerships are extremely important to us. They always have been. And it's been, I think, a good move for us to join together with Neat because they have really great products and all of our stuff works well together.
This is like that's a great answer. I appreciate the insight. This is a great pairing. These are two kind of powerhouse names, huge brand names with really rock solid established presence in the market, and honestly ownership of the market and product category segment, right? The product is well known, and I'm looking at our poll results kind of as we talk. We've got a little over 30 people in the room. It is primarily systems integrators, as is the way. A couple of end users in the house. We appreciate y'all for joining, and everybody said they're either somewhat familiar or very familiar with the brands here, Barco and Neat. Nobody is brand new to this, and I'm not surprised to hear that. So when two big names like this create a partnership, it definitely it creates a ripple effect. It makes noise, it makes waves, and I love to hear about it. But That's one thing. It sounds good on a marketing sheet and it looks good on paper, and we're happy to say it. You guys touched a little bit on about what it means, right? It means support from one another, and not having to point a finger when somebody has problems and say, no, it's this peripheral, it's that peripheral. We're going to work together to kind of figure out maybe what the problem is and help you solve it as a group. So I'm curious. This is just a question from me, right? Kind of going off here. Do you guys have a process in the background that you're regularly touching base on to update things, to say, hey, we've got new firmware coming out. We just want to make sure the functionality is still going to jive. Is it just an ongoing thing that you kind of stay in touch? Is there a regular cadence? What does it look like for you guys?
So,
Open to either.
all right, I'll take this one. Obviously, Josh mentioned that they grew an alliance team. We also have an alliance team, so I know those groups talk to each other pretty often. One of the things we like to do with our partnerships is make sure if we release new firmware or Neat releases new firmware, we test on both sides to make sure we're not going to break anything, make sure everything is still good. I know not every in and out of the program, but I do know that we do discuss things on the R&D level. We actually work to coordinate if we have support points back and forth. So it's a pretty, I don't even want to say complex relationship, but kind of all encompassing, because we're working together. We're going to go to market together. We're going to make sure our products work together.
Which is exactly what the market is looking for. I guess I'll have to clean this up. It looks like the chat is disabled. Somebody let me know in the Q&A. I appreciate that. I'll get it dialed. A little permissions issue, but let's kind of keep it moving. Josh, on your guys' side, working in your partner alliance, is there, I mean, obviously there's a team working on this. Is somebody assigned to a specific brand to keep that communication going? Is there a team looking after multiple brands? What does it look like for new brands to get involved? What does that process look like for you and the team at Neat?
Yeah. Our alliance team is very busy, and if you stopped by our booth a couple weeks ago at InfoComm, you saw how many partnerships that we've built over the handful of years we've been around, and so it is kind of a one to a few relationship where one of our alliance team members will manage a few different relationships. Generally, we've got App Hub as well, so our App Hub partners are vast, but we also have relationships obviously with Microsoft and Zoom. And then the hardware partnerships and alliances as well, like what we have with Barco. So it's generally kind of separated amongst those alliance team members. And to Ryan's point, regular cadence, between our respective alliance teams, and then making sure that all of our release candidates are pre-tested, so we don't put something out there that's going to break stuff in customer environments. And to your point, Joe, we want to make sure that there's no finger pointing. We're all kind of in the boat there with the integration partners, the end users, and both manufacturers. So we don't want to send anybody back and forth. We'll work behind the scenes with our respective support teams to make sure that we're addressing any issues that may arise. But it's been a very seamless relationship from what I've seen in my little perspective.
This is sorry, Ryan, if you had something to add to that.
No, that's perfect. Love it.
Awesome. No, this is cool. We've all got some experience in system integration in this industry, and I really like. It's so cool that we've come from a place where a lot of manufacturers wanted specifically to like trap you in their ecosystem, and they wanted to keep you there, and they didn't want to support third-party stuff. And if you're using a third-party thing and it wasn't working right, then like, well, that's them, and you got to call them. And we're now at a place where like not only is it encouraged, but like it's actively worked on behind the scenes. And I certainly appreciate that. Diving into some question here with you guys, because we've got a couple stacking up right now. So I see Josh, you're pulling around and letting your bar do a little framing action. This is an interesting one, yeah, because we're doing some slicing and dicing on the production end of ours, and your bar is also doing some slicing and dicing. So it might put you in the wrong spot of the frame. That's all right. Is there any limitations? First question I'm going to have for you guys. Are there any limitations to the supported hardware? So you're using this with a Gen 1 bar flipped over to a Gen 2 bar. Do we need to worry about the age of our Neat bar in the room if we want to deploy a ClickShare alongside of it, or are we just wide open to go?
So I believe in the certified category, the Gen 2 bar and the Bar Pro are the two bars that are currently certified. And I think a lot of that was strategic based around our approach with the first gen bar. So the first gen bar was a verified or validated solution, but in my testing, it still works fine, but it is, we've kind of stopped the the testing and ongoing, verification around that, just because of the age of the device and the future of it.
The certified really goes with the partnership, right? We're working together to test. We're not just having somebody test. If you go to the Barco website and look at all of our peripherals, you'll see a lot listed as compatible. That means they basically the other manufacturer has done some testing. They've sent us a report, we validate it, and then we list it as compatible. And that's what the Gen 1 bar is. But because of how the products go, probably us nor Neat would want to go back and say, let's certify the Gen 1 device, because that obviously is, you're selling less of those, you're making less of those, you're moving forward. So you will see that a lot if you look at our website for compatible certified devices. It's normally the latest products that are on there, usually tested with the latest software, the latest firmware. But what you'll definitely see with our certified partners, like with Neat, it will always be at the highest level of our version of firmware, and theirs are what get tested together to make sure if you have the latest firmware on all the devices, everything is working fine.
Awesome. Ryan, I do want to call out the importance of this part of the topic: certified versus compatible. The clarification is appreciated, and it's very important. I was literally just having this discussion on the interwebs the other day with a partner, and it's certified is supported, thoroughly tested. Compatible means like, yeah, it's probably going to work, but there are things to look out for and or reasons we didn't go down this road to take extra steps to certify. Do we kind of summarize that
so
right?
there's a little more to it than that. So if you look at what ClickShare does and how many people that are out there that make bars and cameras and all that, obviously us having a full alliance partnership with every brand is just, it's not feasible. Our alliance team is running around like crazy as it is. They do a great job. And there's just not enough time in the day. Sometimes we get partners that say, hey, I got a project coming up and we're going in this room and they want to use ClickShare. We want to make sure our stuff works. And then it comes down to, we just send them a testing report and say, cool, let's just take a look at this product, make sure it goes. I tell people all the time, and I'm probably going to get myself in trouble because this is in a much bigger forum. We don't necessarily say things that aren't certified or compatible won't work. We just know that us or them or anybody has actually tested it or plugged it in and seen if it works. I've been in conference rooms on demos where people have given me a no-name bar they found on Amazon, and I went, all right, let's plug it in and see what happens, and it'll work. So I don't like to discount anything. I truly believe in testing. Again, I've been in AV my whole life, and that's the only way I really think to do it is check stuff on a bench. What you really get with the compatible and certified devices is compatible, they were tested on somebody's bench. Certified, they were tested on our bench and Neat's bench, and we know everything is good. So that's really the difference in what you're going to see on the website of listed peripherals and what you're going to see is just something in the field that's not on our website for what works.
Oh, and that comes back to the development of the alliance, partnership alliances, and seeing more of those implemented throughout manufacturers. So you know that of the certified product, if you do run into an issue, you guys have flushed kind of all the things out. If you do run into an issue, you have each other's support to kind of help work through it together. So that ties that up very nicely. Great info, Ryan. I'm going to dive into some questions if you guys are cool with. I got a whole stack of them I'm sorting through over here, so bear with me. But there was a very topical one that Jonathan had kind of asked very early. It slid right in here. Jonathan wants to know, Neat has a very robust AI with the camera. Can you speak more to the audio processing and how the sensors work to even out the audio capture with the cameras? We were doing some framing there, so I thought this was a great timing for this question.
Yeah. Well, appreciate the compliment there too. Not that I have any part in the AI, but we do use machine learning or AI for both our video and our audio. So on the video side, we use object detection to recognize any sort of human-shaped objects within the space, and then we're able to crop and kind of stitch together those participants in what we call neat symmetry or individual auto framing. Sounds like that was already known by Jonathan, but in the audio side, we also leverage machine learning. And so, just like with our video side, we, upload a bunch of photos of humans to our algorithm to kind of teach it what humans look like. We also upload a bunch of, spoken, speech files and teach our algorithm what the human speech sounds like. And then we try to ignore things outside of human speech. And so we call it deep noise suppression. We also include de-reverberation in that algorithm. So it's a good way to leverage AI and machine learning to to really mitigate some of those unwanted noises. But also, if you think about, all-in-one bars like we develop and boards, they have to adapt to the environment. Ryan and I have probably both spent many hours tuning rooms with DSPs and advanced microphone arrays and stuff like that. We don't necessarily have the ability to do that on our devices. So our audio team has had to build these to be as adaptive as possible, so they can go into multiple different environments and still perform well. So deep noise suppression is kind of what we call it, but ultimately we're using AI audio processing to deliver that.
Got it. I appreciate it. I just want to touch on that one since we were talking on some framing stuff earlier. It was like, man, right on the money. Jason had a good question for us. Jason wants to know if there's any system diagram drawings, use cases, and things like that available on the partnership. If so, do we know where we can find those? Will they be coming if they're not available? That sort of thing.
That's a great question.
Yeah,
I've been on the road this week, so I didn't have as much time to prep as I would have liked for this call, which happens obviously a lot. I know normally when we make these partnerships, these materials are built either by us or by Neat or in conjunction. So if Josh, if you got any information at the moment about what we've got paperwork wise, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I know.
May not be.
Yeah. On the Barco website, I know there are links to, I guess, respective support articles on both ends. I haven't seen any, schematics or one-lines or anything like that. I did have a colleague ask me for those in the early days of our relationship, and I said it doesn't exist, but it's super easy. So I just quickly threw something together, probably using Zoom Whiteboard, and the beauty is it's explicitly spelled out in the documentation, but the connections are simple. You've got a USB-C connection at the Neat side. You've got a USB Type A connection, I believe, at the base unit side on the ClickShare side. And then you have an HDMI coming from the ClickShare base unit into the Neat device. From there, everything's the standard wiring. So we've got HDMIs from the Neat bar to the display or displays, network connections to both devices. And so, yeah, 2-cable connection between the two devices is all that's needed.
Very simple. I'm sure, Jason, use case information will come out as they are developed. This relationship and partnership is, publicly announced as a relatively newish thing. So I imagine those are still in development. And Jason, I happen to know that you do design on some projects. So if you've got a use case that you want to develop as a story, this is the panel right here to reach out to. So, all right, I had to throw that in there. A couple more great questions coming up, y'all. I really appreciate it. Keep them coming. I'm going to slip in some of my own in a minute here, but Mike had a great question I just cannot skip past. And this is actually a great question. I wish I thought of myself. The CX50 supports 2 screens, but the Neat Bar Pro can support 3 screens. Has anybody used that? Do either of you guys know what the behavior is when we try to do 3 screens with a ClickShare? Like what happens? Are we looking at supporting that down the line? Is it hardware limited, so we're not going to be able to support a 3rd screen? What does that look like?
That is a pretty cool question. Josh, I'm going to add on to that. How many inputs are on that bar for us to connect to? Just the one. Yep. So that being said, what you're going to get from the ClickShare, we're only going to have one input sent in. Most bar systems are a single input. And that is because, let's be honest, Zoom, Teams, WebEx, you can't share 9, 10 different things. You have one source going in. So that's a hardware limitation of what we can do with our signal. That being said, if there's 3 screens connected, obviously the Neat Bar, and Josh, you can take this over, can probably do more with that one signal we put in.
Yeah. So
if you've got anything to add.
Yeah, similar to the hardware limitation on your end, we have the hardware limitation on our end as well. So to your point, we have a single HDMI input, and even the USB-C, which support DisplayPort alt mode, we only support a single screen on those as well. So we will only take one screen in when we're talking about that HDMI ingest. In a BYOD situation, if you have maybe a 3-screen Zoom room that's got 3 discrete images when you're in a native call, what we'll do is we'll replicate that image coming from the ClickShare across all 3. So you're not going to get black screens. It's not going to give the perception that something's broken. It will make use of all those displays, which is great, especially if those displays are distributed around, maybe used for confidence monitors or something like that. So it is the same image on all 3, but we don't, black out any images or anything like that.
That's good to know. That's a great question, Mike. Mike's a sales guy, you guys. So I just shout out Mike for coming up sharp on it. Not that he doesn't know his stuff, but the perception sometimes may be that the sales team doesn't know the weeds, and Mike is there driving in it. And so, kind of speaking of the weeds, well, maybe let me hold my question for one more second. We did get one more good question I want to address. Can you guys maybe both can kind of touch on this? But Dodson wants to know like kind of how this partnership is going to benefit the end users and the client using kind of both of the products together as opposed to the individual solutions.
Well, I think number one, it's the confidence level, right? When you're going into this system, if you're going to design this, you're going to put this in somebody's room. That not only are we going to support if something goes wrong or if stuff isn't working the way they are, but you should know as we're going in, you're going to plug everything in and connect it and get everything installed. That first call is going to work, right? We've tested the firmware. We've made sure our stuff works together. We know the ingest is good when we send out video, all that kind of stuff. So a confidence level of, all right, this should go well in the first place. And then to add on top of that is on the support side, if something does go wrong, we're not going to finger point. We're going to say, okay, you call up Barco because there's an issue. We kind of will triage it or whatever. And then we'll say, all right, this might be because of what we're doing talking to Neat. Let's get them involved. Or vice versa. You call Neat and they say, oh, this might be a Barco thing. We'll get them involved. So the ability to know that not only you should have a good experience right out of the gate and it's going to be easy, but if something does go wrong, both companies will be there to support you because we are working together to make all these rooms come and happen for you.
Yeah, there's the confidence is the big part there, and that's where it's like, man, again, I won't beat it up, but it's like two of the biggest brands in the game come together. It's really hard to feel any more confident than having kind of both of those brands stand behind you and say, yes, this is something that will work, and we will support together. So that's huge. I appreciate that. I want to turn it and dive a little more into the technical weeds. Mike kicked it off for me with his excellent question, and I'm just wondering, from a networking standpoint, there's a couple of devices here. I know we get into a lot of enterprise spaces, and maybe Josh, like the Neat bar, right? It needs an outside connection and needs to be able to see, whatever the platform is, but you're going to have a Neat pad in the room as well. And then Ryan, on your side, the ClickShare is trying to find devices on the network. In an enterprise network space, this can certainly be challenging. My question really is, A, are there any kind of known gotcha things that you for sure want to look out for when you're deploying these devices together? And or second part of the question would be B, any resources we have available for anybody looking to deploy these devices together and prepare themselves from a networking standpoint? Because for sure, if you're going to run into trouble with any of these solutions and getting them deployed, it's got to be on the networking side and having all your ducks in a row.
Yeah, for sure. We document well our networking and firewall requirements. So if you go to support.neat.no and you search network or firewall or probably IP, you'll get this network and firewall requirements document. So it's going to spell out all the ports that we use, all the protocols that we require. The biggest gotchas on our end are usually MDNS, which is required for our pairing. So this is not unique to a Barco and Neat solution. This is just deploying Neat with a Neat pad. That's how our devices find each other over a network. Outside of that, our network requirements are pretty straightforward. To your point, we need an outside connection, obviously, to make those video calls and then reach Neat Pulse and stuff like that for our management. But it's all spelled out and relatively easy to manage. We also have the requirements around the platform side. So if it's being deployed as Microsoft Teams rooms, then they're going to have their own networking firewall requirements. And then similarly, Zoom has their own needs. So all of that's documented and linked in our documentation, but again, not necessarily unique. Luckily, when we deploy Barco alongside Neat, we each, have our parallel networking needs. So we don't need to live on the same network or anything like that necessarily.
Cool. Ryan, anything to add from the Barco
Yeah,
side?
actually, I got a couple cool things to add. Number one, some of the stuff Joe mentioned, we have a lot of the same, right? We have a whole entire network deployment guide, which will give you firewall rules to allow you to connect the device remotely and use our XMS, our cloud management platform to manage those devices. One of the other things that I think stands out for ClickShare is we have a couple different ways to deploy. You can have this network connected and you can talk to and manage it that way. And you can still share with a built-in access point. So your sharing could be completely off your infrastructure network. You can also tie in the ClickShare to the infrastructure network. So when it comes to a deployment of a system, obviously if the Neat bar is running the room, that has to be connected. It's connected all the time. But you don't necessarily have to have the network connection for that ClickShare also. That can be done in a number of ways. And that information is in the product manuals for the devices themselves, along with the firewall rules, that kind of stuff. And it's also in a network deployment guide that we have, which is a more comprehensive document that goes over every single way you can deploy ClickShare, standalone network, dual network, that kind of stuff. And I won't keep going because I could take up the rest of this time on this call or more to go into all the different deployment methods. But just know I've got documentation on it, and you can also reach out to me and we can discuss that in depth later in a better form than me trying to take over this call.
I don't necessarily mind it. Some folks we might lose them with some deep networking talk. Anyone who's watched this show before knows that I really do like to get into the weeds. So way to keep us kind of above water.
Don't want to go down that rabbit hole right here, right now. So
it could get real technical real fast. Well, guys, I tell you what, Ryan, we've got a couple of things left, a couple of questions that we definitely want to get to. There's the gift card raffle, which we'll also do right at the very end, before, right after we let you guys go. But, I know you have a big announcement that you want to share, and I appreciate you doing that here on our platform. So I'd love to cue you up with like a big banner and drum roll or something. But what if I just hand it over to you? And
look, I don't need any pomp and circumstance. It's good enough for me. So just handing it over is all right. So I alluded to this earlier. I talked about ClickShare being around for now about 12 years. We've been through multiple iterations. The bread and butter has been presentation, and then it turned into presentation and BYOD and BYOM for not just presentation but conferencing. What we announced, it the week before InfoComm, and we actually showed some demos. Maybe some of the people on the call got to see them if they were at InfoComm. We are currently working on a new ClickShare that actually puts us in a new market. It puts us into the room system market. So if you're familiar with using an MTR, a Zoom room, WebEx, anything that's appliance-based set up as a room system, you can put a ClickShare on the front end and just present into that device or do a local presentation, like one of our C series for presentation. Or with the CX, we can actually borrow that peripheral and do a BYOD call in those rooms. What we are working on now and what we're looking to ship around the end of the year is we're calling it our ClickShare Hub. And it is a room system. And that system is built, basically a room system with a ClickShare built in. So you need to have a Teams room, you need to have a Zoom room. Now we're going to start with one and then go to the other. And I don't have dates on all this stuff yet. Again, we're not shipping this till about the end of the year.
Sneak peek here.
So some of these things are coming. There's features that will be added. But the big thing to know is we're jumping into the room system market. And from a standpoint of an integrator, a reseller, an end user is, we're now taking what would be two separate black boxes that need to work together and have to talk and all that stuff, and we're combining them into one by building a ClickShare into the brain of that room system.
Wow.
So it's really cool for us because this is, we do wireless, and this is obviously what we're good at, but we haven't been in the room system market before. So this is really a jump for a new product category.
That's exciting. Very, very exciting, man. I appreciate you sharing that here for the first time for folks who weren't able to see at InfoComm and those types of things. I know ClickShare has been a wildly popular product basically since its inception, so I'm sure this will be as well, and expanding on that product range is an exciting thing. I appreciate the stability that has been there and the consistency in the lineup. I know Barco is not one to say, let's throw a box together and get it in the lineup to fill a gap, and that goes a long way, but that also can leave people kind of itching for something new after a certain amount of time, and that sounds like a huge step in the right direction. So I appreciate you sharing that here. We've got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to slip in a couple more questions here. I have some specific ones for each of you guys that are maybe not so much on the partnership, but the people ask. I serve the people, so I got to go ahead and ask a couple of these questions here. This one being for you, Ryan. Shua wants to know if there's any plans on the roadmap or conversations for a long-range ClickShare option. It's an interesting question. I'd love to know the use case.
That is a cool question. So if you go back a little ways, our older products were standard. There were antenna systems that you could extend, right? And we had specific, coaxial cable you could use to extend those systems. Our systems now work on standard Wi-Fi. So what we recommend for a larger deployment or multiple rooms, or I've got a rack room on the other side of the building, is running network cable and installing a WAP or riding on a company infrastructure. So I don't want to say we're not looking at that. What can say is the current models we have can be networked together with other equipment to make that work already.
Got it. That's the way to be. That's a good answer. I like that. Josh, I got a specific one for you now. It's your turn to go ahead and step up and knock one out. And I'm hesitant to even ask, but literally the question came. Four different people asked me this question right now, and everybody wants to know when you're going to be able to use more than one Neat center at a time together.
That's a great question, and yeah, it's something that, well, I guess to quickly, concisely answer the question, we expect to deliver dual centers by the end of the year. We showed the first iteration of this at InfoComm a couple weeks ago, and our team got to see really the first kind of alpha build that we had seen in person, and we were all giddy and excited, and it was kind of the star of our booth. Lots of lines built up to see it. So yeah, it is close. Again, R&D expects to have it by the end of this year. We have kind of a bi-monthly cadence of major releases, so we're about to roll one out the weekend after this, and then we have another one slated for August, October, and December. And so I would suspect maybe that October or December one. So we might get a little end of year holiday gift, but yeah, the ways that we were showing dual centers were kind of twofold. We had speaker focus, which was effectively tracking the speaker from the front of room device. In this case, we were showing a Bar Pro. And then we had dual centers. So regardless of which direction the participants were facing, they'd be picked up by the camera that they were facing predominantly, and then the microphone that they were facing predominantly, and picking up the best signal. And so it dynamically switched between us. If the three of us were sitting around a table and Ryan and I were having a conversation, it would switch back and forth between us. So that way is a way. It wasn't the most exciting way. The more exciting way was kind of the composite view. So if you've been tracking the Neat Center story from the beginning, when we rolled it out originally, it only supported really one use case, and that was neat symmetry or individual auto framing. And it was switching between that center camera perspective and the front of room perspective. And so it became this kind of popularity contest to decide which of those perspectives worked best for the whole group. But the vision from the beginning was to select each participant from their best perspective. And so that was the way we were showing it, and with two centers. So in that particular system, we had 8 different cameras, 3 on each center, 2 on the Bar Pro. And so our R&D team has had to determine all of these participants, make sure that we are not showing the same participant from multiple cameras, and as they change perspective and start to face different directions, they're not jumping around in the grid view or anything like that. So hats off to our team over in Oslo. They've been diligently working on this, and it is closer than ever. So hopefully we'll have it available for kind of beta testing in the wild even earlier. But I'm being told end of year you should be able to support a second center. Excited.
It's the end of he said, and you heard it here, folks. That's the guess. That's the estimate right there. So I appreciate all the info. I also appreciate you guys putting yourselves out there a little bit. Ryan, same thing when you're talking about the ClickShare hub. Nobody's holding you to the fire on these dates here. This is an inside peek, and that's what we use it as. So you guys have been awesome. I appreciate your time and all the information. I'd love to give each of you a chance to just kind of anything you want to leave the folks with. Where can they find you? Or on the LinkedIn? Are you guys at all the trade shows? Where are you going to be next? Josh, where are you going to be next? Where can we find you out in the wild?
Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best way. And my email address is josh.starkey@neat.no. So you can always email me, but yeah, you don't have to look too far to find me. And then to your point, usually at all the major trade shows, yeah, looking forward to chatting more about it.
I feel like I bump into you all over the place and have to say, I didn't know you were going to be here. And it's like, I should just assume from now on that you're going to be there. Ryan, how about you, man? Are you getting out to any of the shows? Are you visiting vendors? Do you stay hidden behind the desk? Where can the people find you and get more info?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, I'm glad you bring it up, the question that way. Number one, you can always find me on LinkedIn, right? I'm always there. but like as of right now, if you look behind me, you can see a logo on the wall behind me. I got a display. I'm in the Phillips Executive Business Center in North Jersey. So I've been on the road this week. Obviously, it was at InfoComm a couple weeks ago. I'm out and about a lot. We did a training class up here. We're going to do more of those. So there's a lot of stuff that people can come and join. If you follow my LinkedIn page or if you connect with me, you'll see when we post that kind of stuff. So I'm always on the road as much as I can be. Not only to make my boss happy, but I kind of enjoy doing it. It gets me out of the house. I like to change the scenery. I like talking to people. And I think, probably is the way Josh believes, right? He works for a company who's got a great product. I like to get that out there. I like to solve people's problems. So that's where I am. You should find me on the road pretty much anywhere, mostly on the East Coast, but I go all over the place.
I love to set you guys up for a couple of road dogs here. Those that know that I make the rounds as well and get all over the place. So folks, hopefully you can find us out in the wild. Otherwise on LinkedIn, Josh Starkey from Neat, Ryan Ostrow from Barco. I appreciate you guys being here. We'll go ahead and let you guys go. And folks, thank you so much for spending your time with us. Huge announcement from Barco. Melanie, I'd love to pin the links in the chat, but for some reason it won't let me. There's a slew of links in there, new information on the Barco hub in there. Certainly if you want more information on Neat and or Barco, reach out to your Midwich sales rep let them know what you want more info on. They may connect you with me or one of the other people on our team. They may get Josh or Ryan involved, whatever is needed to fulfill the questions you have. And without any further ado, drum roll, we're going to go ahead and raffle away the $50 gift card real quick. And the winner is, with huge anticipation, Nathan Cole. Congrats, Nathan. We will reach out to you afterwards to follow up and go ahead and make sure you get that. Thanks so much, folks, for joining us here on the AV Exchange. Keep an eye on our website, midwich.us, for the next episode. Please register and join us.